This is Happily Holistic, where we dive deeply into everything health and wellness with a big dash of spirituality and a sprinkle of business. We spotlight the uplifting and the positive and share the secret ways top wellness authors and celebrities get inspired, stay healthy, and enjoy this beautiful life. I'm your host, Leigh Mercree, bestselling author of 15 books and holistic health expert for the last 19 years. I can't wait to get happily holistic with you today. Hi there. Welcome to Happily Holistic. I wanted to pop in and tell you about the show because I'm so excited I get to share it with you. So, Happily Holistic began when I was teaching shamanism class, as I do every week. It's a teleclass. So my shamanism students, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, call in from all over the world. And I have one particularly beloved shamanism student who, when I would be talking about what's going on in the world and the kind of medicine woman, shamanic, medical intuitive take on it, she would always say, this needs to be on a podcast. You need to start a podcast. And that's why I did. It took me a couple of months, or actually probably 6+ months, to get the message and make it happen. But here we are, and I'm really excited that I get to have this time with you. All of you listeners who are joining us for the first time and will be hearing this right off fresh off the presses, and those of you who will join us over time, I hope, that can tap in and hear all of these amazing thought leaders, authors, influencers, but specifically people that are really endeavoring to make a positive difference in the world. Those are the people that I like to bring on the show, and I'm really excited to share all of that with you. It reminds me back in, 2008, 2009, 2010, I used to have a email newsletter that was called the Continuum Network Cosmic Forecast. So it was gleaned from my work, my own personal shamanic work, and what I learned every time I work with clients. And it was kind of like a little overview of the month to come. Nothing to do with astrology. I don't have astrology training. That's not really my thing, although I think it's very interesting. Really just from just a guidance standpoint, because that is my job as a medical intuitive, is to talk to people's spirit guides. That's really what I do as a medical intuitive. I've been doing that for 20 years. And it's my job to open the door so your body can heal yourself. And through that process, I've gotten to create this really beautiful relationship with myriad spirit guides over the years. And it keeps bringing me back around to, although I don't think we always know the purpose of our experiences here when we're having them, perhaps we will later. It matters. It matters to the people having the experience. And one of the things that I think we can do to make our experience on Earth more meaningful is to share. So to share our knowledge, to share our kindness, to share our positive energy, and to lift each other up and to connect. And so that's really a big part of the work that I do, is how can we keep expanding and do what in sort of new age circles we call raising the vibration of the world, and in the universe for that matter, in the multiverse for that matter, and all of the many universes that likely exist. So we'd like to raise vibration. And how do we do that? One of the top ways I've been teaching for a really long time is joy. Joy is the highest vibration in the known universe. And so as we share joy, as we connect with this essence of joy and let it proliferate through us, we can raise our vibration. That's why I wrote my third book, Joyful Living. I have some of my books here. If you're watching the video, you can see them. Joyful Living's not actually in that stack at the moment. But that's why I wrote Joyful Living, because at that point I had been a medical intuitive for probably, over 10 years at that time. And I had been seeing for all of that time how the power of joy does heal our body and change our lives. And that goes for, all of these positive emotions for that matter. And when we judge an emotion as positive or negative, it doesn't mean that we're trying to run away from the negative emotions or not feel the negative emotions, because we actually need to let all of the emotion move through the body and not let ourselves form attachment to it to keep our bodies healthy. That's a side note. But this idea of fostering joy and joyful living is all about what we can do from a standpoint of raising the vibration of our own body, life, mind, and heart, and then allowing that to ripple out. And so that ripple effect allows us to make this positive difference, which gives our lives meaning. And, in Maslow's hierarchy of learning, you may have learned about that in college or school. We learn when we pass some of our survival challenges and we come to what we call generativity versus stagnation. And that's about what are we generating? We can either stagnate and begin to decline once we've, gotten through some of our other challenges of life and we're sort of established, which can be any time in our lives. Or instead of, stagnation, we can be generators, which I like to call also evolutionists. We can continue to grow and evolve. That's why people talk about being lifelong learners and how, valuable that is. That's why we hear all of that. And that applies to any age. If you are relatively secure, there's many people in our world, unfortunately, that don't have food security, that don't have security around shelter. So that's obviously something that those of us who do have can try to be of assistance with. But if you are relatively secure in your basic material survival needs, then the choice begins to become apparent: what will give your life meaning? And one of the things that gives your life meaning is sharing and connecting and sort of paying forward the goodness that you have. All of these things are part of raising vibration. So if we come in as an evolutionist, not only do we, agree with and prescribe to most of what I just said, but plus we're looking at how can we raise our vibration and therefore the vibration of the world around us? How can we amplify the positive difference that we make? And so with all of that being said, Happily Holistic is thus named because happily, the power of joy, and holistic because I've dedicated my life to writing books about holistic health, because as a medical intuitive, I see the results. So we're Happily Holistic on this podcast, and we talk to so many amazing author friends. When I started the podcast, I got started with some of my close friends because I got to kind of dip my feet in and ease into it. So you're going to hear me talk to my super close soul sister, Shannon Kaiser, bestselling author of many books, including Adventures for Your Soul, Find Your Happy, The Self-Love Experiment, and Joy Seeker. You're going to hear me talk to my uber good friend, Dee Ganit Nur of Nirvana, who's a acupuncturist, intuitive, frequent contributor to Goop. If you ever go to any Goop event, Dee Ganit is there sharing her knowledge and her expertise. We're going to talk to George Lizos, who's just been an amazing person to meet on this journey. Emma Mumford, author of Spiritual Queen, Positively Wealthy. Gala Darling is somebody that I met strictly through the podcast. A lot of these people I've mentioned so far I knew beforehand.
But I reached out to Gala because I wanted to interview her. I thought she's really interesting and we hadn't connected yet. She's written several books, including Radical Self-Love. The list goes on and on. We get to just talk to so many amazing people, and I'm just so grateful that I get to do that, and what a joy it is. So thank you for stopping by. Thank you for being interested in Happily Holistic, and I hope that you enjoy the episodes, and I would really love to hear from you. So please come find me at amyleighmercree.com and on Instagram at amyleighmercree. Same thing on Twitter, same thing on Facebook. Send me a note on Instagram and tell me what you would like me to cover on this podcast. Would you like more episodes about my medical intuitive experiences, to hear about anonymous case studies? Would you like more authors and thought leaders? Would you like information on the cosmic forecast kind of stuff? Or other things? More essential oils, more plant information, more recipes. The list is endless. So drop by and tell me, and I am so honored that I get to be one of your sources of information and entertainment. I don't take it lightly. I take it lightly in the form of like light and joy, but I feel very humbled and happy that I get to share my ideas with you and gather ideas from so many amazing resources to share. So without further ado, maybe pick an episode that strikes your fancy and give it a listen. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful, joyful day, and thank you for listening to Happily Holistic.
Thanks for listening to Happily Holistic with me, Amy Leigh Mercree. You can find out more about the show on amyleighmercree.com on the podcast page. Please stop by your favorite social platform and leave me a comment. I'd love to hear how you liked today's show and what topics you'd like me to cover in the future. Come find me on Instagram and Facebook at Amy Leigh Mercree. Until next time, stay happily holistic.